Witnesses in support.
Mr. Chair, members, Randy Perry with Aaron Reed and Associates on behalf of PORAC and High Patrol. We're actually a tweener at this point. They were going to be taking an amendment to this bill to exempt retired peace officers from the bill. And if they take that amendment, they were going to include also a severability clause that if it was later challenged in court and that section was taken out, that the retirees would be reinstated into the bill. With that, we remove our opposition.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition.
Mr. Chair, members, Ryan Sherman on behalf of Los Angeles County Professional Peace Officers, Sacramento DSA, Long Beach and Santa Ana Police Officers Associations, and Fraternal Order Police. We remain in opposition to the bill, even with the amendments as proposed. There's a concern that the clause, the severability clause, will result in the exact opposite effect, and we're very concerned that our retirees would lose the ability to carry if the case was overturned or successful, I guess, and we would lose it as a result of this additional amendment. So for those reasons, we oppose the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
John Lovell on behalf of the California College and University Police Chiefs Association, Association of LA Deputy Sheriffs, LA Police Protective League, and Riverside Sheriffs Association. We do not believe the amendment will achieve its desired result. We strongly believe that honorably retired peace officers need to be excluded from the bill because they are in fact a public safety asset on college campuses. The problem with the severability is twofold. First of all, it lights the pathway toward a possible legal challenge. If I'm trying to challenge the exclusion of retired peace officers, the thing I'm going to point out to is, hey, even the legislature thinks this is an issue. That's why they have this severability clause. Secondly, I think there are real constitutional separation of powers issues with respect to the remedy contemplated by the severability clause. We would exhort the committee to take the simple approach of simply removing the honorably retired peace officers from the scope of this current bill, and that would be our recommendation to the committee.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Tom Pedersen on behalf of California Rifle and Pistol Association and also on behalf of Mr. Worley with the National Rifle Association. We're opposed to the bill for several reasons. One aspect of it is that there's not a demonstrated problem as to why the bill needs to be implemented. Secondly, there's a potential problem for individuals to inadvertently violate the law, thus increasing incarceration and court costs because of individuals not really understanding where school grounds end and begin. As to what the other speakers have noted also is retired officers, in addition to those with CCW license, have historically carried on these campuses and have actually been a deterrent to crime. So for those reasons and many others, we're opposed to the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in opposition.
Mr. Chairman, Sam Paredes representing Gun Owners California for all of the reasons stated by the previous testifiers. Thank you.
Thank you. Finance.
We don't have a position on this bill, but note that removing this exemption expands the definition of a crime, which could impose new costs and workload on counties, which could increase additional fiscal pressure on the local criminal justice system.
Thank you. Comments or questions from the committee? Seeing none, this bill moves to the suspense file. Next, we'll go SB 20, Senator Pavley. Witnesses in support.
Jessica Lee on behalf of Sierra Club California in support of SB 20.
Thank you. Witnesses in opposition. Finance.
The Department of Water Resources estimates this bill would result in one-time general fund costs of approximately $625,000, but we note that the revised governor's budget proposed a comprehensive underground injection control initiative, which includes an additional $625,000 general fund for this purpose.
Great. Comments or questions from the committee? Seeing none, we will move this bill to suspense. Now we're moving to SB 324, Senator Pavley. Witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Finance.
The Franchise Tax Board estimates a revenue loss of $100,000 in 2015-16, $400,000 in 2016-17, and $900,000 in 2017-18.
Thank you. Comments or questions? Seeing none, this bill moves to the suspense file without objection. SB 61, Senator Hill. Witnesses in support.
Mr. Chairman and members, Roxanne Gould, representing the American Nurses Association of California, in support.
Sylvia Solis-Shaw on behalf of the Office of Los Angeles City Attorney Mike Fuhrer, and on behalf of the Board of Supervisors for the County of Tulare, in support. Thank you.
Lloyd Isom, representing 4 interlock manufacturers, Alco Alert Interlock, Ignition Interlock Service Centers of California, GoLock, and we're in support. Thank you.
Thank you. Witnesses in opposition. Finance.
We do not believe that this bill would create any additional costs for DMV.
Thank you. Comments or questions? Without objection, we'll move this item to suspense. Senator Canella is here. Thank you for gracing us with your presence.
Pleasure.
You may proceed. Members, this is item SB 564. It is a due pass recommendation. Senator Canella.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members. I'm surprised I'm before this committee. I can't imagine this would cost the state 1 cent in order to implement, but I'm pleased to be here to present this bill. This is a reintroduction of last year's. What's that?
It's a due pass recommendation.
Yeah, good. Reintroduction of last year's bill created an additional fine that folks could implement or not implement, $35 if they're speeding in a school zone. The goal was to build safer routes to schools. We got it to the governor's desk last year, and he ultimately vetoed it. We're working with the administration to try to work out some differences. So with that, I would request an aye vote.
Thank you. Witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Finance.
No file.
No file. Comments or questions from the committee? Is there a motion? There's a motion by our Vice Chair, Pat Bates. Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Laura?
Aye.
Laura, aye. Bates? Bates, aye. Bell? Bell, aye. Hill? Hill, aye. Leyva? Leyva, aye. Mendoza? Nielsen?
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. We'll keep that roll open to allow other members to add on. Back to the file, members, we're going to be SB 63 by Senator Hall. Witnesses in support of the measure?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members. Mike Jacob with Pacific Merchant Shipping Association. We're sponsors in support. And just to the analysis, to note that the author's office and us are working with State Lands Commission to address the cost item that was noted. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in support of this item? Witnesses in opposition? Finance.
The Department of Finance is neutral on this bill. We don't estimate a state-level fiscal impact and believe that the State Lands Commission can absorb the workload.
Thank you. Without objection, any questions from committee? Without objection, we'll move this item to suspense. SB 357, Senator Hall. Witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Finance.
We have no position on this bill, but the Board of Equalization estimates the annual state general fund revenue loss from this bill will be approximately $500,000.
Thank you. Comments or questions from the committee? Without objection, we'll move this item to suspense. Members, SB 118 by Senator Liu. Witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Senators. Brian Johnston with the National Right to Life Committee, the California Pro-Life Council. I regret that this year we did not get a letter in time. However, I know the Republican analysis reflects the identical bill last year, which we did clearly oppose for a number of reasons I'll mention now. School-based health clinics were designed in the 1980s by Planned Parenthood, the world's largest owner of abortion clinics. Planned Parenthood is an international, supranational organization based in London. It directs its state affiliates throughout the world to get funds from the host governments in which they set up camp. You're seeing this as just one of the examples. I note that the particular issue that we're concerned with is that of abortions being performed on minors without their knowledge or consent. And Abortion is part and parcel, part of Planned Parenthood. You cannot be involved with Planned Parenthood or any of its affiliates unless you either perform or refer for abortion. So we are opposed to this bill unless there's an amendment to make sure that parents are informed of medical procedures performed on their children. Finally, and I would note that the staff analysis correctly points out there are no funds for this. And so this is an entity that is not funded, and I would strongly urge a no vote.
Thank you. Any additional witnesses in opposition? Finance.
No file.
Comments or questions from the committee? Hearing none, without objection, we'll move this bill to suspense. Members, we move to SB 151, Senator Hernandez. Witnesses in opposition? I'm sorry, witnesses in support? Oh, sorry. Apologize, members, I skipped over one of Senator Leno's items. That's SB 614 by Senator Leno. Witnesses in support? Witnesses in opposition? Finance?
No file.
No file. Comments from the committee? Seeing none, without objection, we'll move this bill to the suspense file. Members, we're back to SB 151, Senator Hernandez. Witnesses in support? Witnesses in opposition? Finance?
No file.
No file. Comments from the committee? Without objection, this bill moves to suspense. Moving to SB 185 by Pro Tem De Leon. Witnesses in support?
Jessica Lee on behalf of Sierra Club California in support.
Thank you. Witnesses in opposition? Finance?
No file.
No file. Any questions from the committee? Seeing none, without objection, we will move this bill to suspense. Moving to SB 189, Senator Wesso. Witnesses in support?
Jessica Lee on behalf of Sierra Club California in support.
Thank you. Witnesses in opposition?
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I'm in support. Jeremy Smith on behalf of the State Building Trades also in support.
Building trades in support. Any additional witnesses in support? Additional witnesses? Witnesses in opposition? Questions? Oh, sorry, finance?
No file.
Thank you. No file. Any questions? Seeing none, we'll move this bill to suspense. Going to SB 208 by yours truly. Where did oh, I'm sorry, Peter. I don't know why I got that mixed up. Okay, sorry about that, members. Try to move expeditiously here. I skipped over Senator Block's two items. SB 298 by Senator Block. Witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Finance.
The Department of Justice doesn't see a fiscal impact related to this bill. The Department of Finance is neutral on the bill and believes that Judicial Council can absorb any minor costs associated with it.
Thank you. Any questions, members? Seeing none, without objection, we'll move this item to suspense. SB 332, Senator Block. Witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Finance.
No file.
No file. Questions, members? Seeing none, without objection, we'll move this bill to suspense. Now, we're back to SB 208. Witnesses in support.
Jessica Lee on behalf of Sierra Club California in support.
Thank you. Witnesses in opposition. Finance.
The Department of Water Resources indicates that any costs resulting from this bill would be minor and absorbable.
Thank you. Without objection, we would move this bill to the suspense file. Now, moving to file item, SB 330 by Senator Mendoza. Witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Finance.
The FPPC indicates that the bill would result in annual costs of $211,000 general fund and require 1.5 positions to address increased advice requests to the Commission's legal division.
Thank you. Any questions, members? Seeing none, without objection, we'll move this bill to suspense. SB 780 by Senator Mendoza. Witnesses in support.
Mr. Chair and Senators, Kobe Pizzati representing California Association of Psychiatric Technicians. Our members are the largest mental health direct care providers in state hospitals, prisons, and developmental centers. SB 780 prohibits the state from utilizing mandatory overtime from all classifications of psychiatric technicians and psychiatric technicians' assistants as a staffing tool. As many of you know, today there are 92% of the patients residing in state mental hospitals have been placed there under a forensic commitment. This means that they are mentally unstable, mentally ill patients with criminally violent tendencies. There were 2 attempted murders just 2 weeks ago at Napa and Patton State Hospital. Psych techs are the primary first responders and were first on the scene to treat the victims. It's more important than ever that staff providing these cares be alert and on their toes. With nearly 3,000 assaults a year on staff, it's not a matter of if you're assaulted, it's a matter of when you're assaulted. We have had our members sexually assaulted, beaten, and in one case, murdered. Mandatory overtime leads to exhausted staff and errors that could dramatically affect both the patients and staff. From July 2014 to December 2014, the Department of State Hospitals spent $27.1 million on overtime just for psychiatric technicians alone. For that amount of money, in just those 6 months, the department could have hired 444 more new psych techs. In those 6 months, there was 79,110 hours of mandatory overtime worked, which was $3.5 million. Could have hired 58 more new positions. The memorandum of understanding between the psych techs and the state sets a limit on the amount of mandatory overtime that can be utilized by the state. No more than 6 times in a month, not on back-to-back days, no more than twice a week, and not on your regularly scheduled day off. Unfortunately, the state has continually violated our contract. Our members have been forced to work involuntary overtime up to 8 times in a month, on back-to-back days, 3 or more times in a week, and have been called in on their day off. We have filed several grievances and won. However, state simply apologizes for their past actions and continues the practice. Mandatory overtime practices for nurses and psychiatric technicians in the private sector has been banned since 2001 through wage and order orders from the Industrial Welfare Commission. Unfortunately, the state was exempted from those orders. We simply ask for your support to help ensure safe working conditions so that we can provide optimal patient care.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Finance.
The Department of Finance estimates that there would be anticipate significant costs to the state by eliminating the use of all mandatory overtime as prescribed in this bill. The bill would likely require departments to hire additional employees to meet healthcare facility staffing requirements. According to DDS, staff in the PT and PTA classifications work approximately 110,000 hours of overtime, mandatory overtime. Eliminating that would require the hiring of up to an additional 53 PTs and PTAs at a cost of approximately $3.4 million, $2 million of which would be general fund. The Department of State Hospitals and CDCR, as well as the Department of Veterans Affairs, also use these classifications and would have costs.
Thank you. Any questions from committee? Senator Leyva.
Mr. Chair, I just want to speak in, I know this is a candidate for suspense, but I just want to speak in strong support of this bill. This is a quality of life issue for the employees. No one should be required to work this kind of mandatory overtime. As stated by the witness, it's incredibly dangerous. And are we really helping the folks that the techs are there to help? So I would just speak in strong support, and we really just need to do something about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Leyva. Without objection, we'll move this bill to suspense. Senator Nielsen, SB 449, are you going to present? Okay, absolutely. Members, this is SB 449 by Senator Nielsen. It is a candidate for suspense. Senator Nielsen, please proceed.
I'll be brief, Chairman. We all have experienced, as has our staff, and more importantly, the people we represent, the near impossibility to get through to people in state agencies. Sometimes I've felt that it's almost by design, that you press 1, press 2, press 3, go on hold, get cut off, finally get somebody and they say, I can't hear you, I can't hear you. It's really not funny. Many years ago, I introduced a bill joint authored by Bill Lockyer that required the agencies of government to answer the phone within 6 rings. Well, they outsmarted us. That started the answering machine. Made a lot of money for people. Bill and I didn't get a share of it. But the problem continues. I have very personally been impacted by it. We see lost productivity and we see great frustrations of our constituents. Now, this provision here allows for what is a quick callback. In other words, you can opt while you're waiting to kick off the line. Go about your business, and that will then trigger that someone, time certain, would be getting back to you. And that's all that we're trying to accomplish here. You can hang up and have confidence that someone from that agency will communicate with you without leaving you on hold for hours. And sometimes my wife and I have been left on hold for hours. And some agencies have already done this. DMV has. I think we could argue that it has been a successful experiment. I have great confidence that this technology is available, has been applied, and can be used prospectively. And we're willing to work as it's on suspense to make it as cost reasonable as possible. I know the big fell swoop for all agencies, it's touted in the half of millions of dollars variously. We do have to be cautious with our budget, but I do believe there's a way that we could expand at least the pilot, if not go full bore ahead. And I'll tell you, we would be doing the people we represent a great favor.
Thank you, Senator Nielsen. Witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Finance.
We don't have a position, but we would note that DMV implemented such a system back in 2011. And installing the solution resulted in one-time costs of approximately $150,000 and annual operating costs of approximately $800,000.
Thank you. Comments from the committee? Seeing none, without objection, we'll move this bill to suspense.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members.
Thank you. Members, next we have SB 478 by Senator Huff. Witnesses in support of the measure. Witnesses in opposition. Finance.
No file.
No file. Comments or questions from committee? Seeing none, without objection, we'll move this bill to suspense. Next, we have SB 500 by Senator Hertzberg. Witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Finance.
The Department of Finance is opposed to this bill due to its negative impact on state revenues. The Franchise Tax Board estimates lost revenues of $200,000 per year.
Thank you. Comments or questions from committee? Seeing none, without objection, we move this bill to suspense. Next, we have SB 644, Senator Hancock. Witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Finance.
Excuse me. We have no position on this bill at this time. The fiscal impact is unknown. However, we estimate that the cost to fund LEAP internships and provide reasonable accommodations would be minor and absorbable given these individuals are being appointed to already vacant positions.
Thank you. Comments or questions from the committee? Seeing none, without objection, we'll move this bill to suspense. We are still waiting on Senator Pan. At this time, I am going to present for our Senator Walk, SB 7, and I'm going to take up my item, file item SB 200. Pass the gavel to my vice chair.
to you first. Senator Lara.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm presenting SB 7 for our colleague Senator Wolk. SB 7 authorizes the Department of Housing and Community Development to develop and propose standards that require the installation of water submeters in newly constructed apartment buildings. These standards would then be adopted by the California Building Standards Commission during its next scheduled code adoption cycle. Updating the building code will provide guidance, which doesn't currently exist today, to local building departments from the state and how to deal with the installation of water submeters in newly constructed buildings during initial plan check and field inspection activities. The money for HCD and for the Building Standards Commission to implement SB 7 comes from the Building Standards Administrative Special Revolving Fund. Construction builders pay a permit valuation fee on every permit that goes into this fund. SB 7 is a perfect example of code development and adoption that is the special fund was designated to cover. Unlike water meters for individual homes, there is no requirement in state law that individual dwelling units in apartment buildings have individual water meters or sub-meters. When installed and read, sub-metering encourages water users to be more aware of their usage, giving them a financial incentive to conserve. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Witnesses in support.
Jessica Lee on behalf of Sierra Club California in support of SB 7.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Ron Kingston, representing 5 regional apartment associations, Mr. Laura's Zone Apartment Association, California Southern Cities, the NVPOA, East Bay Rental Housing Association, Orange County Apartment Association, and the NorCal Rental Property Association in support.
Any additional witnesses in support?
Pat Moran with Aaron Reed and Associates, representing NWP Corporation and the San Diego County Apartment Association. We do have some concerns with the bill, but we've been working with other interested parties and the author, and we hope to work them out, and we'll have a bill where we'll have sub-meters in California. Thank you.
Witnesses in opposition? There are none. Department of Finance.
The department doesn't have a position on this bill right now, but notes that if the Department of Housing and Community Development opts to create the building standards, the total cost would be $244,000 spread over 2 years. And as the chair indicated, it comes from a special revolving fund.
Committee members, any comments, questions? There are none. Yeah. Senator, would you like to close?
Just respectfully ask for your aye vote. Senator Walk's measure.
Call the members.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Lara?
Aye.
Lara, aye. Bates?
Aye.
Bates, aye. Bell? Hill? Hill, aye. Leyva? Leyva, aye. Mendoza? Nielsen? Nielsen, no.
The bill is on call.
Thank you. Madam Vice Chair, members, I'd like to present SB 200. First, I would like to accept the amendment on page 3 of the analysis. SB 200 would update California's K-12 residency requirements to permit a child who resides with their parent the majority of the week at their place of employment to enroll their child in the local school district, even if they maintain another principal residence. This bill will result in cost shifts from one school district to another, but will not create any new additional cost. SB 200 has received unanimous support, and respectfully ask for your aye votes.
Witnesses in support.
Gina De Silva with the California Immigrant Policy Center in strong support.
Additional witnesses in support? Witnesses in opposition? Committee members?
Move the bill.
Have a motion? Would you like to close?
Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Please, Department of Finance.
No file.
Okay.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Lara?
Aye.
Lara, aye. Bates?
Aye.
Bates, aye. Bell? Hill? Hill, aye. Leyva? Leyva, aye. Mendoza? Nielsen? Nielsen, aye. I apologize, Senator Lara. Do you accept the amendments?
Oh, yeah. I
Okay, the
accept that
motion is to
amendment.
pass as amended to the Senate floor. My apologies.
That's right.
Is that on call now? Thank you,
Thank you.
Senator Lara. You can have the gavel back.
Senator Pan, please come forward.
Thank you.
Members, this is file item it's SB 686 by Senator Pan. Please proceed.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members. I'm pleased to present to you SB 686, a bill that will allow collective bargaining for University of California and Hastings College of Law sworn peace officer supervisory employees. Basically, collective bargaining rights provided through HERA due to an outdated PERB ruling in 1983 did not permit these supervisory peace officers from being able to form collective bargaining units. We want to correct this and ensure that they are able to get represented. And I'm pleased to have Mr. Barry Broad here as a witness to talk about the reasons for the importance of this bill.
Thank you. Witnesses in support of the measure.
And Mr. Chairman and members, Barry Broad with the Teamsters. Police supervisors at CSU are in the bargaining unit. We accept that they're supervisors and need to be in a separate, distinct bargaining unit, which is how peace officers are generally treated in California and local government and so forth. There are separate supervisory units for the police sergeants. So that's what we're talking about. I don't believe there's any opposition to the bill, and but there's about 80 of them in the UC system, and we think that the costs are absorbable through UC's fairly robust human resources department that exists now. Urge an aye vote.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Finance.
No file.
There's no file. Comments or questions from committee? Senator Pan, would you like to close?
I respectfully ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a suspense candidate. Without objection, we'll move that bill to suspense. Thank you, Senator Pan. Members, we have 5 items on call. It's okay. Members, we're going to take a quick pause just to encourage members to come, committee members to come if they haven't voted on items.
What bills do we have left? For all of them? Get everybody back.
Call the roll on the 5 outstanding bills. First, we have SB 7 by Senator Walk. Please call the absent members.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Bell? Mendoza? Mendoza, aye.
That has 5 to 1. The measure passes. Next is SB 489 by Senator Monning. Please call the absent members.
Mendoza? Mendoza, aye. Nielsen? Nielsen, aye.
7 to 0, that bill is out. Next, we have Senator SB 564 by Senator Canella. Secretary, please call the absent members.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Mendoza? Aye. Mendoza, aye. Nielsen? Nielsen, aye.
7-0, that measure passes. Next, we move to SB 662, that's the committee bill, Senator Wachowski. Secretary, please call the absent members.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Mendoza? Mendoza, aye. Nielsen? Nielsen, aye.
7-0, that bill is out.
Yes, that's how we do it. We have to close the roll. Yes, the measure passes, grant reconsideration, take up the new motion. If you want to explain how it works, we can do that.
Okay, members, we're going to bring up my bill SB 200. There was a bit of confusion on the amendments, so we have to close the roll, bring it out for reconsideration, and then take the revote without, as a due pass straight to the floor with no amendments. So we'll take up SB 200. Secretary, please call the absent members.
The motion is due pass as amended to the Senate floor. Bell? Mendoza? Mendoza, aye.
That is 6-0. We are going to take up this bill for reconsideration. Secretary, please call the roll.
Laura?
Aye.
Laura, aye. Bates? Bates, aye. Bell? Hill? Hill, aye. Leyva? Leyva, aye. Mendoza? Mendoza, aye. Nielsen? Nielsen, aye.
Reconsideration is granted. We are now going to vote on SB 200 as a due pass to the floor without amendments. Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Laura?
Aye.
Laura, aye. Bates? Bates, aye. Bell? Hill? Hill, aye. Leyva? Leyva, aye. Mendoza? Mendoza, aye. Nielsen? Nielsen, aye.
6-0, that bill is approved. Thank you, members. That concludes our appropriations hearing for today.